Hello and welcome to the Eureka Masterclass with me, Brent Hamill. In this week's episode, I'm going to be talking about one of the most requested aspects of Facebook ads, and that's how can you create better ads to drive up click-through rates, lower the cost per click, ultimately generating you cheaper new customers in a reliable, measured and scientific way. I'm going to be revealing 8 secrets that we use in my business and for our clients to generate them more customers hand over fist in a cheaper fashion than they've ever seen before, in a more reliable fashion than they've ever seen before. It's very, very simple. So without any further ado, I'm going to jump straight into it. The first thing that I see wrong with pretty much every Facebook ad campaign that I've ever taken over or ever seen or laid eyes upon is that the person, the account manager or the business owner is not testing different ads often enough. They're leaving hordes of cash on the table by not testing. They're not refining the ad imagery. They're not refining the ad communication or the text around the ad. They are just leaving bundles of cash out there in the abyss because they're not testing. They're not tweaking and improving their ad creatives, their ad messaging to gain more money from the audiences that they are pitching their ads to. So in terms of testing, what can you test? I'm going to be talking about a lot of the aspects further in this episode, but you got warranties, you got guarantees, you got different forms of social proof, you got different forms of emotional triggers, and I'm going to talk extensively on emotion because that is one of the biggest assets and aspects, I should say as well, that business owners and account managers certainly miss the boat, and that's where a great deal of persuasion power is left on the table. But with, as I've said in many different masterclasses, a lot of money is left on the table because people don't have processes and routines. So you need to be building a process and a routine around testing your Facebook ads and your ads on Google AdWords, your ads in any other form of media buying that you do within your digital marketing. And the reason why I stress process, like use a sporting analogy, I'm a huge sports fan. I'm not a big NFL fan, but the Patriots have just won the Super Bowl. They've been successful since Bill Belichick has taken over. The reason is he has a process. Players come and go. It doesn't matter. Patriots have been successful for a very, very long time now because they have a process. They have a system that Bill Belichick has formed. You need that within your business in every different aspect, and hugely within the marketing, whether it's offline or digital. You need processes. Because you do not want to be relying on one aspect, whether it's the Denver Broncos, again using NFL, they rely on one player like a quarterback. No, the whole holistic system needs to be working together. So develop a testing program for all your digital marketing. I cannot stress that enough. Huge amounts of money are left on the table because people do not have processes and strategies and systems around testing different ads. So moving on, we have customer avatars. Again, the system and process aspect. Before you start creating ads and the targeting options, selecting different targeting options, who are you appealing to? What are the different products? What are the different services? What are the different types of customers that buy an individual product or service? There could be multiple different types of customers that you want to buy a particular product. Who are they? How do you communicate to them? So you need to dice them up. Create customer avatars for each single one. It's not one customer avatar for your business. It's avatars, plural. So you want this service broken down to 4 different types of customers that you want to buy that service. They all need to be communicated in each of their different ways. What kind of plan do you have behind that? Spend 30 minutes at the very minimum detailing who they are, the demographics, loosely who they are. What kind of interests do they have? What kind of frustrations do they have? What are they motivated by? What are they frustrated by? What do they hate? Who are they influenced by? Are there gurus or celebrities within that group of people? So like soccer people. I'm a huge football fan, soccer fan. Lionel Messi is a huge influencer, celebrity in that industry. But if you move over to rugby league, not so much. The rugby league people may not know who he is. They don't hold as much esteem and celebrity status towards Lionel Messi in that area. So do you have gurus that are celebrities within your customers' eyes, but not everyone else's? How can you leverage that? Again, customer avatar. need to be as detailed and as specific in knowing your customer as you can be. And again, get granular. Each different segment of your business in terms of product or service, detail the customers that buy that, who you want to buy that. And that formulates the plan in terms of imagery and text communication around the ads that you create for any kind of media buying, whether it's Google AdWords, Facebook, doesn't matter what form of media. That is the plan that you use to communicate to them. Hugely powerful. And if you do not do that, again, you're leaving bundles of money on the table. We do it day in, day out. We still create the customer avatar plans for our clients, even though we do it day in, day out, because that plan is what keeps us focused. It's accountability. It gives us direction. It's largely where we use all the tools that I'm going to further talk about in this episode, and even the ones I can't talk about because this video would go for hours and hours. That plan overrides the whole direction. It overrules the whole direction, how I apply the further techniques. So I cannot stress again that enough, that the plan is that customer avatar plans are hugely important to your business and the success of your Facebook and overall media buying campaigns that you put out into your into the digital marketing world. Okay, jumping over to the computer now, and I want to start talking a bit about tactical stuff, technique stuff. So you've kind of got like the customer avatar plan can provide the overall strategy, but what are kind of like the hidden little secrets the big dogs that are generating huge amounts of money, huge amounts of new customers? What are they doing to generate that money? What are those techniques? How can you leverage them? How can you rip them off? How can you steal them? I'm not endorsing copying and pasting by no means, but how can you rip what they're doing and apply it to your business? So here we have AdExpresso, which is a fantastic resource for people to learn more about Facebook ads, and they've been running an ad that's based upon social proof, and that's the aspect I want to talk about now. Social proof. How can you leverage social proof? Here they're talking about, it's kind of like safety in numbers, let's say, is that with 17,348, very specific number. Specificity is also one of those little tactics you can use. If they were to say 17,000 plus, it's not as believable, but 17,348, bit of social proof there. A lot of people have downloaded this resource. What kind of numbers can you use within your business? Can you be using testimonials, reviews, pictures of customers using your product? These types of things are hugely powerful. Again, social proof. Transfer-wise, using the celebrity status that I've mentioned earlier about in regards to Richard Branson. He's synonymous really in the financial world. Obviously he's got a lot of money, but he's also pretty heavily into that world as well. So they're leveraging the authority that he commands, and he's attention grabbing. People gravitate to him. He's a likable person. So even if you're not interested in TransferWire yet, you don't even know, he will capture the attention. Is that, I like Richard Branson. What are these guys communicating to me about? So it's a very interesting tactic to use that celebrity status, or that perceived celebrity status within your industry. You've got obviously reviews. You can use testimonials, use numbers. There's great deals of social proof that you can use within your marketing efforts to leverage, to improve click-through rates, and ultimately improving that customer acquisition. There's massive amounts of social proof there. And I shouldn't forget results. If you're a result-based business, can you show graphs? Can you talk about results specifically? Use story. Use results, whatever the results are they before and afters, are they graphs, are they numbers, whatever it is. Results speak volume, especially with remarketing. So getting the people to come back to your website, they've already established that relationship. How can you further portray to them that you are very good at what you do? Results can help with that. Another aspect that I see with Facebook ad design and messaging that people are missing out is they're not instructing people what to do. So telling people what to do next and how that it can benefit them is massive. There's many different ways that you can test and tweak and communicate the same thing in different ways, or different communication in terms of different theme. This ad here is promoting the call to action of a 25% coupon code. use the coupon code SPRING25, save 25% off. They're directing you. If you want our clothing, use this coupon. You'll save 25% off. They're directing people. Another brutally honest and great marketer is Frank Kern. And Frank, in this ad slide, is being blatant. I mean, could you be any more blatant? Go ahead and register now. He's telling people what to do. But you need to be aware when Frank has not used this to people that don't know him, they wouldn't register. But people that through marketing, that know about him, that follow him, this is a very good ad for him. He's telling them what to do. And he's also telling them about if you're looking to get leads and more customers, then these 6 steps will teach you exactly how to create, etc., etc. So these types of call to actions, they can help improve click-through rate, but they massively can help conversion rate, lowering that cost per acquisition, the cost to get a new customer. This is where directing people what to do, and be emotional. So speak to the end benefit. Click here to earn more money is a terrible example, but you're starting to get, you imagine you get the idea, is speak to that end result. Not click here is too generic. That the button's used 1 trillion times across the internet, but speak to the desired end benefit, emotional benefit. I'm going to talk about emotion a little bit later on. One of the next aspects is congruency. So here we've got an ad from Lead Pages, which is a landing page building company. They're a fantastic software for you to quickly build landing pages for your business where you send traffic to. Not a pitch for Lead Pages, but there you go if you're curious about what Lead Pages does. But this ad is fantastic because the ad design leads you perfectly into the next step or the next page. So I see so many times that businesses have an ad that's communicating about one aspect, but the page goes to like a home page or a page that isn't congruent about the messaging or the emotional talk. There's a disconnect. You can't have a disconnect because people get lost. They like seamless transitions. By not having that seamless transition or congruency between ad communication and design and branding to landing page ad design, communication and branding, people are getting disconnected. It's hurting your conversion rates. If you're using AdWords, it's going to be hurting relevancy and landing page relevancy and overall quality score. You're going to be paying high cost per clicks. So, and which is ultimately you're paying more to generate a new customer. So check out the landing page here. Is you can see they're talking about a webinar marketing funnel system. Ramp up your marketing, 30 days. Again, this is a 30-day 10 video course. It's all seamless. The branding is the same. The look and feel of the ad is the same. The communication is very similar. So getting that congruency, it's just a logical next step. I know I've clicked the right link. I've seen some horror stories where you think that ad is sending someone to an incomplete page. Obviously that's an exaggeration, but if you can tie them in seamlessly, to repetitively use that word, you will get far better results. The next aspect is being credible. You'll see those tacky stock photography, which is just awful. It looks tacky, doesn't represent your business that well, it has no personality behind it. People buy from people. It's a very hard concept to get across to many marketers and business owners, is that people buy from people that they like, know, and trust. It's not until you get into the realms of status and ego-based products such as Rolex and Lamborghini and products and businesses of that nature that you're buying a status. But for the most part, for large, medium, small businesses, people buy from people. So try and be as professional as you can. Be credible. Be someone with a personality. Don't try and be all straight arrowed. Have some personality. Have some fun. Have a crack a joke if you're that type of person. Throw a bit of banter around if you're that type of person. Don't be mundane. Don't be boring. It sucks. That's what it does. It's boring. It sucks. It's just social media. We see social media celebrities earning millions now because they have a personality. Essentially, it kind of grinds my gears, really. They're offering entertainment, and I don't find it entertaining. Maybe that's why I've got a gripe against them, or maybe it's jealousy. I have no idea. But they're offering no real benefit to the community and the world as a whole, except for maybe some loose entertainment. And I'm nailing some of the ones that offer like skits and practical jokes. Like, they're irritating some people as well. But you got firefighters and doctors and people that offer so much more to the community that don't get paid anywhere near as much. But these people have a community. So yeah, love them or hate them, doesn't matter. You need a personality. So whether I like them or not, that's a long conversation for another day perhaps, but have a personality. I cannot stress that enough with your marketing, with your sales efforts, and especially within your social media ads and your social media engagement. Huge. And be credible. No lies, no false information, no trying to pull the wool over people. Be credible, professional, and have some fun and personality. Be who you are, because that's part of the reason why people will buy from you. So be credible, have a personality. Very, very important. So the last thing I want to talk about is one of my favorites. It's marketing breaks down to numbers and psychology. This is where people get they get it wrong in a way. They don't measure. First aspect, that's wrong, and they don't put emotion into their marketing efforts. And so I want to talk about 7 of the dark secret desires and persuasive kind of power triggers that you can pull to persuade people in a whole ream of different aspects of your business, whether it's Facebook ads, Google ads, different forms of the media buying, offline, person-to-person selling, and those factors are you've got lust, sex motivation, you've got esteem, escape, guilt, affinity, and yeah, that's all of them. And fear, can't forget fear. So I'm going to talk about each of them individually. So first is like lust, sex motivation. It's a huge seller. You see it all the time in beauty products and clothing, making people look good, making them feel good. Are they appealing to their partners, or the audience? Partners, I meant in terms of audience. Are they appealing to is the man going to be smelling nicely for a cologne? Is that going to be able to attract a partner? The clothing, there's also status involved in that, esteem and stuff. I'll talk about that, but that lust and sex motivation is huge, and is not leveraged. How can you build that? If you're a product or service that can leverage that, you need to be pulling that trigger in your design, in your communication, verbal or textual. How can you pull that kind of lust and sex motivation? Escape. This is that one kind of thing that we know and we talk about, but we don't use. Escape. And to put it in one line, the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. We always want that kind of that thing, that object, or that something that someone else has and that we perceive as better, but it rarely ever is. But we still want it. It's psychologically built into us that Johnny next door or Sarah next door, the grass is greener on her side of the fence or his side of the fence, and we want that. So how can you help people escape where they are and move into something that is better? Do not sell prevention or improvement. It's very, very difficult. Sell the escape. Sell the replacement, the cure. That is what you want to be selling. So pick yourself up out of this and place yourself here. The escape is one of the big triggers that you can pull that will ramp up the power of the messaging that you're using within Facebook ads and every other kind of sales communication that you pitch to your target audiences. Next is esteem and inadequacy. This is one of the real fun ones, because we all like to think that not that we're good people. People are good people, but what I'm trying to say is that we're not ego driven. We are hugely ego driven. We have huge esteem issues, and people who deny that are dead set liars. We all have that little thing that eats us away, and we want to be better. We want to be seen as better. We're concerned about, people say that I don't care what people think. That is a lot of rubbish. They care about what some people think, the important people to them think. How can they look better? How can you pull that? Merge fear with inadequacy and self-esteem issues. How can you paint them? How can your product or service build up the status? I remember a couple of tests that we've run for clients, and one being a speaker. This lady has a wonderful business where she offers the ability for businesses and organizations to hire guest speakers, and it's like you want to talk about the features of a funny kind of speaker, etc., etc. We simply said, make your event one to remember. That emotional esteem is that people are going to be getting a pat on the back about, that was a great event, Johnny, that was a great event, Sarah. They want that esteem of everyone coming up and then say, what a wonderful event that was. Another test that we ran for a fashion company is that the headline change was, know that you're the best dressed in the room. And that again is self-esteem, is that people aren't buying a shirt based on price, or they're not basing on the fabric, that the features of how this shirt is designed. People buying their clothing products on the representation they want to put out, the status they want to project. That is very important. How can you leverage status, esteem, inadequacy, that kind of marketing trigger in your communication that you put forth? Fear. Everyone lives in some form of fear, whether it's a direct threat, whether it's a threat to your loved ones, family, friends. There's multiple different types of fear. It's one of the more obvious ones. It's if misused, it can hurt, but when used properly and subtly, you can see it used very well. And most businesses have some form of fear. So for like Facebook ads, not using the right ad creatives, your competition are going to take you over and crush you. You're going to go out of business. That is kind of like a fear-based, not an elegant one, but giving you the idea of how you can use fear. Guilt is it's kind of like the opposite of like lust and sex motivation in a way. Like living and fear is built into guilt, obviously, but how can you leverage the expectations so you're not a real man if you can't grow facial hair, kind of thing? That's a funny way to put it. Are you a real man looking after your family? I'm being a bit sexist against my own gender here, but you kind of get the idea of how can you use guilt if you're selling. I'm kind of being heavily politically incorrect in today's episode, but can you market something against and project that you're against your religious beliefs? Again, that's forming guilt. The guilt is a wonderful way. Again, use subtly, and don't be overpowering with guilt. It can be used in a wonderful way. So sit down and each of these emotional triggers I'm talking about, how can it be applied? Sit down specifically again for 20 or 30 minutes. How can I use guilt in different ways? Again, formulating that plan, that system, that process. Affinity. I brought up before, safety in numbers. People want to be part of a group. CEOs band with other CEOs. Soccer players band with other soccer players. Business owners band together. They want to be, or people want to be seen in the same light. Are you a man or a mouse? Are you smart or dumb? Are you a winner or a loser? Kind of like breaking people up into groups. Again, I'm being politically incorrect, but I'm just trying to get a point across. How can you use affinity or groups, or how can you tell people that you want to be in this area, but you're not in this area? I can help you get to this group. And again, you're tying. They leverage off each other. So self-esteem and affinity, self-esteem and inadequacy ties into affinity. Are you smart or dumb? The smart money follows this action. I'm smart. I want smart money. Like, I need to move with the group. again, social proof, like 40,000 people have done this, 40,124 being specific have done this. They've done the smart money move, and that is this, moving people off into that affinity group. Very, very important. And the last one is like greed. And greed is, it's the desire to have excess. It's very important. People, they want more. How can you appeal to that? It's huge. And if your product or service can help people get more, you need to be projecting that. You need to be communicating that through results, through testimonials. Again, tying ego, self-esteem, that kind of stuff with greed is building up the status. That greed gets you that status. It doesn't always, but if you're marketing a product that helps you get that, that's what you can do. So there's wonderful ways to tie in emotion to the copy, your ad design, and pull on all these levers that I've spoken about. It's very important. So there's a wonderful direct response marketing guru called Dan Kennedy. Fantastic guy. Very good educator, and has built massive businesses. Proactive with Guthy-Renker. He's been the brains behind that. Many other different brands as well. He speaks about emotion very intensely and very informatively and in a very detailed fashion. And one of the stories he talks about is like Disney. How can you apply the 7 emotional triggers that I've just talked about to like an experience in Florida, Orlando, Disneyland there? And he talks about like lust, that a business owner, man, takes a family, is hoping for a great holiday because he wants gratitude sex from his wife. So again, like pitching that kind of angle very, very subtly. Disney don't want to be labeled with like lust and sex, but that's kind of what he's hoping for. How can you steer your kind of communication down that road? Escape. He doesn't, and in this analogy, Dan Kennedy's talking about the VIP service for Disney. The $600 an hour private guided tour, you're first in every line, you're driven around, things are cheaper, the whole thing's faster. So if he pays for that, possibly going to have a very good experience. Therefore, wife is going to be happy. Possibility of gratitude sex. This is his analogy, not mine. He moves on to escape. The guided tour doesn't have to stand in long lines. He's escaped the world of this CEO or business owner in this analogy. He's escaped that world. He's not waiting in long lines. He's escaped the world of managing unruly kids, dealing potentially with his partner in them complaining about the unruly kids and how this was a shambles. It was a terrible idea, waiting these long lines for an hour. Esteem, one of my favorites. He feels better about himself. He's a good provider. It's the status of walking past everyone, of feeling good that, hey, I'm above you, I'm better than you. You don't want to be saying it like that. That's extremely poor, but that's kind of, I'm being very direct, and that's the kind of communication you want to put forth. So fear, if he goes cheap, will the family have a bad experience? What would that drama create? How long would that last down the years? Will that be brought up in future years or future months or weeks? What a terrible holiday. The fear of that. The guilt. And Dan talks about like that business, the business owner. Could you guilt trip him into that, to buying this $600 an hour guided service by saying, how many times have you reneged on going on a holiday because of a business situation that arose? Like, you need to make this one the best ever. Don't throw your family under the bus. Be a good husband. Be a good father. Guilt trip them into it, essentially. A wonderful way to use guilt. Affinity. That group. If entrepreneurs, they want to be seen as better people, that's kind of like that little bit of a personality. Not all of them, but a hell of a lot of them do. And they want to be seen in that highly coveted crowd. They want to be walking past people in that VIP line, walking past anyone with the guided service. They want to be seen as the VIP. They want to think of themselves as top tier, and they want that validation of being that top tier, and the guided service can be that. And greed is the businessman in this analogy, he wants to have what others can't have, and that is, I'm walking down paying $600 an hour. I'm feeling that good about myself. He doesn't want to be standing sweating in hot lines. Florida is a hot place. I go there a couple of times a year. It's a hot place. It's humid. You don't want to be standing sweating in long lines there. So that kind of greed is huge, massive. So that's a business analogy on how you pulled every lever of the 7 kind of like dark emotional triggers that I've spoken about in this video. So the next aspect that I want to talk about is offers. Again, this is going back to the second aspect is testing. You can test guarantees, free samples, free trials, discounts, different testimonials, framing things or communicating the same thing in a different way. You've got warranties, you've got results, a whole plethora of different things, different offers. How can you come up with the best guarantee in the industry? Double your money back guarantee, make it 3 times longer. There's tons of different guarantees you can use. Warranties, make it longer. Take away conditions. Jay Abraham, another big direct response marketer that's made companies billions and billions of dollars. He often says that the company with the best guarantee wins the war, wins this business war. So there's different types of offers that you can create for your Facebook ads and marketing in general. How can you create the best and most crushing offer that will just crush your competitors? That will help your marketing efforts. Again, that gives you direction about your ad communication and copy. So I'm going to wrap this video up. I hope you've loved this Eureka Masterclass. If you have, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like the Eureka Search Engine Marketing Facebook page, visit our website. If you've got any questions, like I always say, or feedback, love feedback. Again, this episode was based on questions and feedback that we've had about our other masterclass. Send us an email, ask us a question. Would you like me to have a look at your account? I'll do it. No obligation, no fees. I love just talking to business owners. I learn just as much from you guys as you may and as well learn from me. So until next week, next Friday, I hope you enjoyed this week's Eureka Masterclass, and bye, and I'll see you next week.